Okay, so you're joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be here.
And this time we are really pouring over the world of Denver's affluent bourbon enthusiasts.
That's right. We've looked at, articles, reports, discussions online,
Ah,
kind of a blend.
a real mix, yeah.
Yeah,
To sort of distill what makes this group so, well, interesting.
exactly. I mean, bourbon's popularity has just surged, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And Denver, with its well-off and discerning crowd, gives us a really fascinating snapshot.
So the goal today is basically to give everyone the key insights, right?
Yeah, who they are, what really motivates them, and maybe surprisingly, the hurdles they face.
Yeah, the challenges. And what we found, it really goes beyond those, old stereotypes.
Definitely. We're talking actual demographics, the dupper reasons for their passion.
And some pretty significant frustrations they run into. So yeah, get ready for some maybe unexpected stuff.
Okay, let's break this down then. When we picture these Denver enthusiasts,
Mhm.
the core demographic, it tends to be adults, say, 30s to 50s.
Right, that kind of range.
And while it is still, more men, we're definitely seeing more women getting into it.
Which is interesting, right? How that changes things.
Yeah, the community dynamics, preferences, and financially, we're generally looking at households with pretty significant disposable income,
Like, what kind of level are we talking?
often 150K plus annually, which, lets them explore the pricier end of the bourbon world.
Right. And let's just ditch that old image right away, the whole middle-aged Southern gentleman thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty outdated now.
While that might have been the picture historically, the Denver scene is it's much broader age-wise.
True. And look, the data suggests the core is likely still white male.
Which reflects, broader U.S. trends and Denver's population, too.
Right. But the age range is expanding. And we are seeing, more diversity, even if maybe it could be faster.
Okay, so demographics aside, what's driving them? What's the psychology here?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Several key things stand out. First, a real value placed on exclusivity.
Like the limited editions.
Exactly. Those limited releases, the unicorn bottles everyone talks about. Hard to find stuff.
And it's not just showing off, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
It seems more tied to wanting, unique experiences that mass-produced stuff might not deliver.
Right, something special. And tied to that is appreciating the craftsmanship,
Totally. They care about how it's made, the details, the history, the tradition.
but also the new stuff, right? Small batches.
Yeah, innovation too, but only if it feels, authentic and skillful,
Hmm.
not just gimmicky.
Mm-hmm. It seems like for a lot of these drinkers, especially the really engaged ones, it's bigger than just the liquid.
Oh, absolutely. It's the culture around it, the
Mhm.
experiences, the bottle design even,
The whole story.
the whole narrative, yeah. The brand story, the look, the lifestyle it kind of represents.
And in Denver, that seems to mean connecting with other people who are into it and learning more.
Definitely. There's a strong desire to connect and deepen their understanding through education.
Like that Denver Whiskey Club example.
Exactly. Founded way back in 2010. And they specifically say they welcome everyone.
Yeah, from the whiskey geeks to people just starting out.
Their main thing is learning together, sharing knowledge.
That says a lot, doesn't it? They want to go deep, understand the nuances, and, connect.
Yeah. And if we kind of zoom out, for this audience, bourbon really is more than just a drink.
It's a passion project almost.
A real passion, yeah. Maybe a status marker in some circles. Definitely a hobby they pour time and, well, money into.
You think about those articles mentioning bourbon rooms or lairs.
Right. Not just a shelf, like curated collections.
Mhm.
Mini museums almost.
And having those rare bottles, hosting tastings. It's part of showing, your stuff, right? In this world.
Demonstrating success, expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a reflection of their journey, their knowledge.
And that drive to be knowledgeable is key, isn't it?
Oh, massively. They want to be the one who can, tell you the difference between mash bills.
The grain recipes.
Yeah. Corn, rye, barley, wheat.
Yeah.
Or explain how different aging changes things.
So making it isn't just owning Pappy Van Winkle, though that's probably part of it for some.
Sure, getting the Grail bottles is big,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just as much about having the stories,
The story of the hunt.
the hunt, the tasting notes, that personal connection to the bourbon.
Which leads right into that value they place on authenticity and connection.
Exactly. Remember that theme about wanting genuine experiences?
Yeah, especially younger drinkers.
Visiting a distillery, feeling the process, tasting right from the barrel. Huge appeal.
That's the whole bourbon tourism thing, right? Kentucky Bourbon Trail, local tours here in Denver.
That's it. seeking that real link to what they enjoy.
So what about their biases then? They respect history. Kentucky.
Undoubtedly. Big respect for history, quality, especially from Kentucky legacy brands. Maybe a bit of a bias there.
But they're open to new things too.
Yeah, open to innovation if it comes from real craftsmanship and quality.
And that desire for unique flavors really stands out.
That rare character founder quote, saying American whiskey can feel largely boring.
Yeah, wanting odd or unusual whiskeys.
That really hits on what these enthusiasts are looking for, something different.
Beyond the standard stuff.
Right, and when it comes to branding, they seem pretty sharp.
Wary of gimmicks.
Very wary. They prefer stuff that feels authentic, like sourced whiskeys.
Where the brand didn't actually make it.
Yeah, exactly. Brands that buy whiskey from other distilleries. They might be skeptical unless there's total transparency.
Or, the taste is just incredible.
Right, or a really compelling story.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me, that tension. Old school versus new school.
Yeah, that dynamic is definitely present. You've got the long-time collectors.
Who remember when things were different.
Totally. Cheaper, easier to find stuff, so maybe a bit of cynicism there now.
Understandably, yeah. Seeing how things have changed.
And then contrast that with the newer folks, often millennials.
Coming in fresh, enthusiastic.
But yeah, really eager to learn, consuming content online, engaging with brands they like.
Interested in the people behind it, the process.
The whole story again.
But what's the common ground? Because there seems to be some.
There is. Despite those different perspectives, there's this shared idea that whiskey is for savoring, for sharing.
A social thing.
Often, yeah. A way to, like that forum post said, relax and have fun with the people they care about.
And beyond the social side, there's a personal fulfillment piece, too.
Definitely. A real sense of achievement from the whiskey journey.
Always something new to learn.
Always something new. New flavors, new distilleries, new techniques. It appeals to that curiosity, that desire to, master something.
Okay, so they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, but it's not all smooth sailing, is it? What are the roadblocks?
Right, let's talk barriers. External and internal. Externally, the big ones are pretty obvious.
Limited bottles.
Yep. Limited availability of the sought-after stuff. They've got legal hurdles.
Distribution, shipping across states, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And, of course, the rising prices.
Which stings, even if you have disposable income.
Nobody likes feeling overcharged. Right?
Yeah.
Then there are the internal barriers. A bit more subtle, maybe.
Like FOMO, fear of missing out.
Big time. FOMO is huge. And social media just pours gasoline on that fire.
Seeing everyone's bottle hauls.
Yeah. Seeing what others got can definitely spark envy, feeling like you're behind.
That quote about online forums being an anonymous outlet to vent frustrations.
Just like deep down, we might feel envy of some of our better off friends. Yeah, that really captures it.
That hidden desire for what others have.
And then there's just, balancing the hobby with life.
Family, work.
Yeah, that Redditor joking about his wife's reaction to camping out for a $300 bottle.
Yeah.
It highlights that potential conflict. Even a passion, especially one costing time and money, can clash with other priorities. Even for wealthy folks.
So, bottom line, it's a journey for them. Fulfillment, connection, discovery.
That's what they're seeking. And they want respect from brands.
Yeah.
Brands that get their passion, their knowledge.
Okay, so that leads us right into the friction points, the pain points we hear about.
Yeah, the key challenges. And number one, right at the top, is that limited access to rare bottles.
Allocation frustration.
Huge frustration. Pappy, BT Tac, Blanton's. Getting those is tough. And people are vocal about it.
We found that story, didn't we? The allocated bourbon event?
Oh, yeah, the camping out in the cold rain.
Just for a chance to buy something.
And the guy's conclusion. There is no bottle on the planet that's worth a night in the cold away from my friends and family.
Wow. That says it all.
It really does. For many, the hype is actually starting to kill the joy.
Which is the opposite of what bourbon should be about.
Exactly. It should help you relax, not add stress.
And it's not just the super rare stuff anymore, is it?
No, that's a big point. Longtime drinkers are saying even their old staples are now near impossible to get.
Like the Eagle Rare for $13 story.
Yeah, picking it up at CVS 10 years ago for $13. It just shows how much things have changed.
And the emotional side of that is real. Frustration, disbelief.
A sense of loss, almost, for those easier times.
Okay, pain point number 2. Prices and the secondary market.
Yep, running a very close second. Skyrocketing prices and real anger at the secondary market.
The resellers.
The resellers, yeah, where bottles go for way over retail. We saw that quote, garbage human beings selling for 10x retail.
Strong words.
Very strong. And there's a lot of debate about paying over MSRP, the suggested retail price.
Is it okay? Is it feeding the problem?
Exactly. Some see it as just, the cost of getting what you want. Others think it's wrong, fuels speculation.
And that leads to judging people, right? The whole tater thing.
Yeah, that term, kind of derogatory for people seen as chasing hype and overpaying. It creates friction.
We saw that quote, why does everybody care so much about how much other people spend?
Yeah, that really captures the frustration. Someone finally gets their unicorn and then gets grief for the price.
Takes the fun right out of it.
Kills the joy of the find.
But generally, people don't like the secondary market prices.
Generally, no.
Mm-hmm.
There's widespread frustration and a kind of moral stance against supporting it. Don't support the secondary market. You hear that a lot.
Even people who could afford it often won't pay those prices.
Often, yeah. On
Oh.
principle. They'll stick to hunting at MSRP, entering ravels, even though it's frustrating.
And all this, the chase, the prices,
Yeah.
it leads to burnout.
It really does.
Uh,
Hobby burnout is a term we saw popping up more and more. People are just exhausted.
Tired of the hunt.
Exactly. That comment from late 2022. Frustrated and exhausted. Thought it was bad 5 years ago. Can't believe it now.
Yeah, that was telling.
And we even saw someone saying they were thinking of leaving bourbon because the hype really kills the joy.
Wow, that's serious.
It shows the emotional toll. Words like exhausted, stress, kills the joy. Done with it.
So how are people coping?
Well, one way is refocusing. Shifting attention to readily available mid-tier stuff.
The $40, $60 range.
Yeah, that comment about finding a lot of quality product there and diminishing returns above that.
Makes sense. A practical response.
It is. So you see this split happening.
Mm-hmm.
Some chase harder, others step back and appreciate the accessible stuff.
And this pressure affects the community itself. Infighting, snobbery.
Yeah, it seems to be bubbling up. That tater label is a good, if unfortunate, example.
And that Reddit thread, slight annoyance with the bourbon community.
That's right. Someone annoyed about people mocking others for overpaying for Blanton's, saying it misses the point, which is just enjoying what you like.
Gatekeeping versus inclusivity.
Exactly. It shows that tension.
And FOMO fuels all this, right?
Massively. Social media amplifies it. Those bottle haul posts trigger envy, even if it's quiet envy.
And in Denver's tight circles, that means lining up early, entering every lottery.
Trying not to miss out.
Okay, one more challenge. Maybe quieter. Just knowing how to buy stuff.
Yeah, access to information. It sounds basic, but we saw those newbie questions. Any good places in Denver?
Highlights the info gap.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the experienced folks, they tend to guard their honey holes,
The good start.
Right. So the advice is often vague. Build relationships, join clubs, get lucky.
Not super helpful if you're just starting.
Leads to frustration for newcomers, maybe cynicism from veterans answering the same things over and over.
Luckily, there are groups helping bridge that gap.
Yeah, like Centennial Bourbon Club, Denver Whiskey Club, they play a big role there.
Okay, so to really get this audience, we need to tune into their emotions, figure out where they are on that awareness scale.
Exactly. Look at the language they use when things are good, like finding a unicorn.
Pure excitement.
Almost childlike joy.
Yeah, at long last. Christmas came early. Posts. Upbeat tones at meetups, club invites. Lots of fun, enjoy, love.
But when they hit those frustrations,
The language flips. Frustrated, exhausted, tired, done, annoyed.
anger comes through. Yeah, passion gets thwarted, leads to rants, real disappointment. Sometimes sadness kills the joy, or please don't support secondary.
And that envy FOMO undercurrent.
It's there. Maybe subtle phrases like watching from the sidelines or jokingly jealous.
But the feeling is real.
Oh, yeah. That confession of deep down we might feel envy. And the FOMO behavior is having to stop by a store, heart sinking when you miss out.
A real roller coaster.
Totally. The rush of a tip, the crash of missing it, hope versus regret, hoping I get lucky versus I should have gone earlier.
But there's a positive side too, right? The community feel.
Absolutely. Camaraderie is strong. Cheers, community, sharing pours for the love of bourbon.
Supportive tones.
Often, yeah. Helps to know I'm not the only one. Veterans helping out newbies, offering moral support and sympathy.
Pride and knowledge, fellowship.
Real warmth. That anecdote about the stranger sharing a unicorn pour just because they're both bourbon nerds, that captures it.
Then there's skepticism, curiosity, as they get more experienced.
Right. They start questioning hype, trying to gauge what is hype marketing versus great whiskey.
Wanting transparency.
Definitely. Is it worth it? What's the real story? Critical eyes on services, clubs. Is XYZ membership worth it or just gimmicky?
Like that subscription critique.
Extremely overpriced, never justified the cost. These are savvy consumers asking tough questions.
Okay, let's map this onto that awareness spectrum, starting with completely unaware.
This is your casual drinker, buys whatever's at the store, won't be shocked by the obsession.
Asks basic questions.
Yeah. What's so special about Pappy? Why line up? That Cora question, why is bourbon so expensive lately? Innocent curiosity.
The Denver Whiskey Club target, just beginning their walk.
Exactly. Then you move to problem aware.
They felt the pain.
Right. They know there's an issue. Language is confused, maybe complaining. All stores out of Blanton's, is there a shortage?
Bourbon-type questions.
Yep. Or that other Cora one, why has Blanton's become so hard to find? Words like annoying, crazy, disappointing.
Hate that my old favorites are impossible to get.
Exactly. They know the problem, but haven't found solutions yet.
Next up, solution aware.
Now they're actively looking for fixes. Asking how? How do you guys get allocated bottles? Tips for Denver.
Aware of clubs, picks, subscriptions.
Comparing solutions. Like that rare character comment. Trying to gauge hype versus great whiskey. Curious. But not a small price tag.
Or the flavor question. Is it worth it for rare bourbons?
Tone is exploratory. Worth it. Recommend.
Tax.
Experience with. Should I? They're using the jargon now.
Know the goal, seeking the means.
Exactly. Ripe for influence, this group.
Then product aware.
They know specific options. Rare character. Store picks. Now they're weighing choices.
Comparing, maybe skeptical.
Yeah. How does this compare to, how does RC compare to other NDPs? Referencing features. This club promises that store pick group has.
That RC comparison. Super trendy, hype is main driver. Buy if you want, don't break the bank.
Or the Denver example. Local club or national. Store lotteries. They know the options, still have doubts.
Moved from how to which.
Precisely.
And finally, most aware.
Highly informed, maybe a bit jaded. Ready to act, but need a good reason.
Thinking, if someone could just solve this hassle.
I'd sign up in a heartbeat. Yeah, maybe they have their own system already. I now have a guy.
They'd evaluate a new offer very directly.
If it truly gives me exclusive barrels without secondary prices, I'm sold. Or they're selective. Got my system, don't chase unicorns anymore.
Like that experienced drinker quote.
Know the unicorns, don't hunt. If price is reasonable, pull the trigger. Otherwise, watch the madness. Point out easy to find, reasonably priced stuff, moral support.
They need something clearly better than what they're doing now.
Exactly. Incrementally better or more convenient.
Okay, so knowing all that, let's pivot to competition. Rare character seems like a key comparison, right?
Definitely. They've become a big name, kind of the next it brand for single barrels, micro labels.
Tapping into that desire for unique stuff.
Yeah, sourcing individual barrels, giving details, appeals to the geeks. Founders, seen as insiders, build hype well.
Social media, club picks.
Right, and they're definitely present in Denver. You see the posts, local picks sell out instantly.
So Denver enthusiasts know them.
Oh, for sure. They're likely familiar.
What's the general feeling about them?
It's kind of mixed. Positive side, perceived high-quality, unique single barrels, thrill of the chase.
Resurrecting old labels, collabs. Adds appeal.
Yeah, Bruce Russell collab, things like that. And retail prices are usually okay for this crowd.
But the hype is a double-edged sword.
It can be. Skepticism creeps in. Is it really that good? Or just FOMO?
Hard to get unless you're in.
Yeah, or paying secondary. And some feel it's maybe not drastically different from other NDPs.
The cult of personality thing, too.
Gets mentioned sometimes. And maybe the hype sets expectations too high. Leads to letdown occasionally. Solid, but maybe not mind-blowing every time.
So where are the gaps? What are RC's limitations?
Accessibility is a big one. Hard to get consistently at retail unless you're in a pick group or get lucky.
Which pushes people to secondary, waitlist for barrel picks, too.
Right. Barrier to entry for individuals just wanting to try a bottle.
Yeah.
And community.
Not much structured community from the brand itself.
Not really. Lots of fan groups online,
Right.
but the brand focus is mainly product.
Portfolio maybe feels scattered, not personalized.
Can feel that way.
Yeah.
Lots of variety, but less cohesive maybe. More, here's cool stuff we found.
And the price thing again. Retail, okay. Secondary high.
Yeah, secondary could be hundreds. Starts feeling like collector territory, maybe alienating regular drinkers.
And no specific Denver focus.
Not really pronounced. National, global hype, mostly.
Okay, so how does a new offering position itself against that?
It's about offering the good parts, unique, quality bourbon, but maybe better, more accessible, consistent, community-focused.
Like your own rare character minus the hype machine.
Exactly. Same quality single barrels, but guaranteed access for members, no secret groups, no crazy secondary prices.
Yeah.
Focus on substance over hype.
Address that hype drove demand point.
Right. And emphasize community, transparency, be open about sourcing, why it's special.
Build a real community, education, tasting notes.
Instead of relying on Reddit, offer resources, engagement.
And consistency is a big differentiator.
Huge. Reliable access versus RC's hit-or-miss nature. No constant searching. Predictable luxury.
And hammer the price-value angle.
Deliver top-tier stuff at fair prices within the membership. Bypass secondary markups. Frame it as an investment in enjoyment, not just cost.
Compare membership value to potential secondary costs.
Definitely. And if you have unique offerings, finishes, local collabs, single malts feature those.
Be the new insider secret that actually helps the consumer.
Exactly. Fill the gaps, rare character leaves.
So the gaps, availability.
New offering, guaranteed access.
Experience.
New offering, events, education.
Community.
New offering, built-in.
Trust, transparency.
New offering, open info, maybe guarantees.
Price value.
New offering, predictable, fair, bypass a secondary.
Those taglines could work then.
Yeah, like, why chase others' rare characters when you can have your own?
Or, rare character gave you FOMO, our brand gives you a poured glass.
Catchy. It's about keeping the appeal rare, exciting bourbon, but fixing the frustrations. Understanding RC's appeal and flaws is key.
Okay, so, bringing this deep dive to a close. We've really unpacked a lot here about Denver's affluent bourbon fans.
Yeah, their passions, values, the real challenges they face, that competitive angle with rare character.
Hopefully everyone listening has a much richer picture now.
A more nuanced understanding.
Yeah.
Which is super valuable if you're trying to connect with this audience.
Whether you're a brand, a retailer, or just another enthusiast.
Exactly. These insights matter.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought. Something to chew on.
Okay.
Given everything we've talked about, the frustrations, the desires, what overlooked needs could savvy players address next to really win the loyalty of these drinkers long term?
Ooh, good question. Or maybe, how will these community dynamics, the burnout, the shifting preferences, how will that reshape the whole bourbon market down the line?
Definitely a complex, evolving picture to keep watching.
For sure. Well, thanks everyone for taking this deep dive with us.
Yeah, I hope it gave you some fresh perspective on Denver's dedicated bourbon lovers.